Hey, what's up guys? So last time we went ahead and we created a win box. In this episode we're gonna fix things a little bit. So you see over here in the shop we are allowed to buy these skins for 150. That's what it says on the tooltip, but now we're gonna change that. We're actually going to make sure that whenever we buy something, it goes fetch the data from the tooltip itself, and it's going to take that number and then deduce it from the currency. Right now we have the cost fixed on 100, so say we buy the black skin, then we were only deduced 100 currency, but what we're going to do this episode is make sure that it actually match what we have down here. Okay, and other than that, we are also going to work on displaying some information for every single level, because last time we've created some kind of save data for a level, so whenever you complete the level in say 25 seconds, we have that data now, so we can actually display it somewhere. And that's pretty much what we are going to do. Excuse my voice, I have a cold, so it might get a little bit hard to understand what I say, but I'll try my best, so let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the main menu script. That's where we do our buying skin mechanic. Okay, so inside of the main menu, we have down here the change player skin. Now let's see exactly what's going on in here. So right here we set the cost to 100. We need to change that. So we need to change that for a fixed number that we're going to set. What kind of information do we have? We have the index. We also have the shop button container object. How exactly could we tackle this problem? We could simply create an array that contains amounts. So basically what we could do is say down here, I am going to declare a private int array of say cost. And now I did not really want to have to do this because we have a modular skin. Not really modular skin, but you know, we could have 8 skin, we could have 16 depending on what's the size of your texture. But since I know I'm only going to have 16 skins in my case, I can simply set the cost inside of a fixed array. So that's what I'll do here. I'll simply say private int cost is equal to a new array of int size 16, and then we can go ahead and declare that. So instead of saying that, actually we could simply put we could declare our array on the fly. So just like this, and then we go like, okay, so the first skin is free, that's 0. Second one could be 50, 50, 50, and so we have say 4 skins per line, and we have 4 lines. So we could increment the cost every single 4 texture. So that's one way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it, but since we know we're only going to have 16 skins, then that's pretty much what I'll do. So the 4 first one are going to be 50, except the very first one because it's free. That's the default skin. Then the 4 next one are going to be 100, and I think that's a little bit too cheap actually. Let's bump it up. So say 150 for the first line, 300 for the second line, just like this, and let's go for 500 for the third line, and finally the last one I'll just go ahead and bump the values by a lot. So 8,000, maybe 1,250, 1,500, and finally 2,000 for the final skin. Alright, so this should actually give us an array of cost that we can use right here. So int cost is going to equal cost at the index. As simple as that. So now if we go back inside of our game and we give ourselves some currency, so let's go ahead and bump this up. It's in the main menu, I believe. So it's not here. So where exactly do we have the money? Oh, inside of the game manager. So right now we have 135 currency. Let's bump it up to 500. So with 500, I should not be able to buy the 4 last skin, but I should be able to buy this one, which is the one at index 12. Is it 12? Yeah, 12. Okay. So let's go ahead and test this out. We are going to go inside of our game, scroll at the very end. Right here, so that I cannot buy. This I can't buy as well. That as well. Now this one I should be able to buy, the brown one. And it does not work. So why is that? Let's go ahead and have let's go ahead and add some kind of debug.log here. So let's do a debug.log and type in cost, so we know how much the skin we're clicking on actually cost. So I'm going to boot this up, press on this, that's 150 right here. Now this is 300, this is 500, this one we already have, 500, 500, and then 8,000. So why did it not work? I'm not quite sure. So we bump it up again to 8,000 and we buy this, now it works. Okay, that's kind of weird, but we figured it out and it works. Alright, so now this out of the way, we actually have to change the display of our text, because right now we're confused because it pretty much just says that everything is 150, but that's not the case. So let's go ahead and I am going to reset my game actually. So okay, so I went ahead and I resetted my game, so now we're back to the original state of the game. So no skin bot, no currency either. So we are going to go ahead and go wherever we declare those skin squares, and we are going to go ahead and set the currency to what it should actually be. Okay, so now that we understand how the cost is going to work, so this is going to be the static array that's going to take care of the cost, I'm going to go ahead and move it at the top of my script, because that's where I declare my my fields. So I'll put that over here and move it like that. Okay, now where exactly do we do that? So that's the thumbnail for the levels, and that's the thumbnail for the skins. So we pretty much do set active on true if. Okay, so this is for the overlay. So we set that to false if the overlay is, well, if the skin is bought, we set the overlay to false. So basically, starting from actually here, we could go ahead and do something. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say container.transform.getChild at the index 0. Now we should have the overlay. So if we take a look at the game while we do this, we should be exactly, so shop. So we should have one of these selected, one of the shop button prefab selected, and then we do get child at the index 0, which put us on the overlay. And then we're going to do another get child at the index 0. So this way, we are going to go get the text inside of it. Now, a alternative to that, we could be doing a get component in children and access the text component like this, but I've had some trouble with that in the past for some reason, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with what I know is going to work 100% sure. So doing 2 of those is going to put me on the text object here, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the component text of that object. So just like this, container.transform. Then once we have the shop button prefab transform, we do get child to get the overlay, then we do get child again to get the text, and then we do get component to get the text. And like I've said, I'm just going to write it down because I think the other way is more optimal, but for some reason it doesn't work on my end. So container.transform.get component in children, and then we do the text component just like this. So once we have the text component itself, we are going to say .text is equal to cost at the index, or cost with an S because that's the name of our array up here, cost with an S at the index. As simple as that. And also do a toString, why not? Because we're writing an int inside of a string field. So let's go ahead and boot this up once more, see what happens. I'm going to hit 2 shops, so this is now 150, 300, 300, and as you can see, 500, 500, this one I can't really see, so we'll have to do something about that. And then 8,000, 1250, 1500, and 2k. Alright, so that's going to be pretty much it for the cost. Now let's go ahead and start trying to display some information on this side. Now, since we don't really have some kind of select state, so say we want to select level 1, we can't really do that because if we click on it, we're actually right inside of the game, so that's not going to work, obviously. So what I felt like doing is actually adding something to that very object. So you see how we have over here the level button container, and inside of that we have the level button prefab, which contains a whole square. Now, I'd like to add another layer on that. So say the level prefab was not only this object, but it was also some kind of text above it and maybe some text below it. Let's go ahead and look at the level selection. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop a level button prefab inside of it, and make sure that the level button prefab is inside of the level button container so we can actually see it. And while we're at it, I'm also going to remove the panel we have because it pretty much makes no sense anymore. So where exactly is it? Okay, so on the level button container there is this image component. I'm simply going to take it off. Okay, so now the level button prefab, it has to change a little bit. So to do that, I will go ahead and right click on it, and I will add say another panel. So go down here, choose panel, and now this panel is going to be, say, the bottom panel or something of the sort. And now I'm going to anchor it at the bottom center, put the position on 0, put the position Z on 0 as well, keep the width, and I'll just move it down so we have a look at what it gives us. Okay, maybe scale it down a little bit. So as for the height, I'll be putting it on, say, 25. Position Y, I'll reset it, and I'll do -25. And we could be going like this actually. So inside of that panel, I want to display the best time that the player did on this level, and also some kind of icon that says, is this silver time or is this a gold time? And no icon if it's not actually in these range. So let's go ahead and save our new level button prefab. We are going to click on the level button prefab itself, hit apply, and then if we go in the game, have a look at the level selection, they all look like this now. Alright, so next step is actually to load data. So we need to load some data out of this. In order to load data, we need to have the level name, and we get it somewhere over here. When we instantiate the thumbnail, we actually instantiate them by the thumbnail name. So we have that information when we're inside of that for each. And that's exactly where we're going to use it. So let's go ahead, and on this very level button prefab once more, we are going to right click on the bottom panel, go in UI, then instantiate, say, a text, and let's write some timer stuff or something of the sort. Right, I'm going to move this in the center. Actually, is the center fine? Yeah, okay, so let's keep it in the center. You can move it if you want. I'll be keeping mine in the center. Maybe put some white text on it. I don't know. And also that's it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'll just type in high score or best time. That's going to be the name of the text object. So just like we did down here, we're gonna do a container.transform.getChild, and now I'm not quite sure what child we are on right now, so let's take a look. So container is the level button prefab, and then we get its transform, then we get its first children. So level button prefab is here, then we do a getChild, so we get the bottom panel, and then we have to do another getChild to get the text object. So let's do that right here. So that's the exact same line as we did for the amount that a skin costs. So once that's done, let's go get the text component once more. And that's where it is going to get tricky, because now we need the information that is inside of a formatted string that we've saved last episode. So the way we're gonna do this is, I think we're gonna return a small structure in case something else happens later on and we actually need to save more data for a level. Well, we're actually going to do a small structure with that. So let's leave that to null for now, or empty, or something of the sort. Then we're going to come back to it in a little moment. But let's go ahead and declare ourselves a level data structure. So that's going to be cool. Let's do that. So let's go ahead and declare ourselves a public class. Let's do a class that we're going to call level data. Now, level data is something really simple actually. Go ahead and remove the parentheses. We don't want to be putting too much stuff in here, but basically it's going to contain a best time, public float best time. It's also going to contain a public float gold time and a public float silver time. And I've put some capital letters because we're actually going to put them inside of properties just like this. So make sure you add the set get to every single one of these. And these are going to be properties. Okay. Alright, so now that we have this, let's go ahead and declare a constructor. So a public level data that's going to take in parameter a string that we can call a key or level name if you prefer. So whenever we do new level data, we have to pass in a level name, and that's going to pretty much just fill all of these values. So let's go ahead and do that right here. The data is inside of player pref, so let's do player pref.getString, and we are getting the string at level name key. Oh, not in quotes, just level name like this. And we're gonna save that string inside of a string that we might call data. Why not? Okay, now let's have a look at what this gives us in the game. So we're gonna do a debug.log on data. But in order for this to be called, we actually need to create a level data structure. So in our code, say over here, we're going to say new level data and pass in the thumbnail name. So where is it at? Oh, scene name. And I think that's going to be pretty much it. Why is this not working? Does not exist in the current context. Oh, okay, because that's my bad. Let's do thumbnail name. Alright. Now let's hit play on this and see what kind of data we get. We get nothing. Or no, I don't think that's it actually. Let's go ahead and take a look at this error. Okay, so this line is not okay. So I'll go ahead and remove one of the get child. Sorry, my brain's a little bit messed up this morning. Just the cold is not helping. And this gives us a null reference object. Okay. So let's have a look at why we were not able to find a component of type text on that very object. So what exactly is container? Container is a level button prefab, which we instantiate as a game object. Then it has a image that we are sure of it. So this image here, and then we do a get child. And that works. Now get child once more, and that doesn't work. And that's because we forgot to save our level button prefab. So go ahead and not right click, but hit apply on your level button prefab. And let's go back to our code and put another get child like we had before. Alright. So now that's out of the way, I believe. And here we go. So the text we get down here is the text that is saved inside of the player pref. Now, since we have not completed the first level yet, since the reset, we don't have any data, so let's go ahead and do that right here. I'm going to click on the first level, and let's go ahead and complete it. So we're going to boost once, twice, why not? Okay, now if you take a look at the console down here, this is the data we actually get. So it says 7.9 whatever with a lot of digits, and then %10, %8. %10 should stand for the silver time, I believe. So if we go in our first scene and we have a look at the level manager here, so silver time is 10 and gold time is 8. So we get all of this data inside of a single string. Now in order to split that data, because now we actually have to separate these, we're gonna go ahead and do a array of strings with that. So right here we're going to say string array that we're going to call something like all data. It doesn't really matter the name because we're going to be wiping this, is equal to data dot split, and we're going to split it every single time we see a ampersand. Now as for the parameter, we want to give it a char that we use as a separator. So we're going to be using this very last overload here by giving it a single char. So let's go ahead and do a single quote ampersand, and then we close it off again. And that's how we're going to get 3 different strings, because we have 2 ampersand. And yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it actually. Now, if we have no data, if we have no data on the level, that means we never completed it before, then that also means that this is going to pretty much crash. So before doing all of that, we gotta make sure that data is not null. So if data is equal to, then we can open up string and just leave it empty like this. We're gonna do return. Now this is just a failsafe, so we don't get an error down here if it's actually a null string. Alright, so back here, what we have to do now is we have to fill all of our 3 fields down here. So best time, gold time, and also silver time. These are inverse, so that's just knowing me. I'll go ahead and put that like this. Okay, so the first field is best time. We're gonna say best time is equal to float dot parse. So we're gonna parse a string and turn it inside of a float by doing float.parse, and then we have to pass in the string itself. So our string is all data at the index 0, because that's the first section of our string. Now as for the silver time, we have to do silver time is equal to float.parse all data at the index 1, and then we close this off. Same thing for the gold time is equal to float.parse at the index all data 2. Like this. And now we should actually get a working level data. Alright, so if we go back inside of our code where it says new level data thumbnail.name, we're actually going to keep this. So that's going to be our, say, level data level. Why not? Something of the sort. And now when it comes time to writing the best time that we actually did, so down here where it says empty, we're gonna say level.besttime. Okay, let's test this out before we actually go any further. It says we cannot convert a float to a string. Okay, so for this to work, we actually have to add the toString to it. But now you're gonna tell me that this is a little bit annoying, because we get the data as a string from our level prefab, then we turn it inside of a float, and then you're asking us to turn it inside of a string once more. And the answer I have to that is because this is actually a float. So we're going to leave it as a float in case we use it somewhere else. That would only be logic. So whenever we end the level and we want to check is my current time better than the best time, we're going to be doing that comparison as a float. So that's one of the reasons I want to keep it as the type it should actually be. Now this way we also don't lose data, and when it comes down to formatting that string, we can actually do it at this very level here. So we could be saying I want it to look like maybe currency, why not, or a timer. So there's probably one for timer somewhere. Let's use the fixed point like this, so a simple F. Okay, I think it's a minus, not a minus, but a non-capital F. Anyway, let's go back inside of our main menu, press play. Okay, so right now the best time for this level is 6.32. Let's get and try to beat it. It shouldn't be that hard. Let's go back. Okay, that's 4.75. So this pretty much works, but we have one more issue though. Say we actually take our time and go really slowly and then complete our level. We're pretty much saving anyway, so now it comes back to 8.35, and that's not going to cut it. So before we end this video, let's go ahead and go inside of our training. Or is it here? Yeah, okay, so inside of our training, let's go inside of the win box. And then where does it lead us? It leads us to victory, so then let's go inside of victory, so that's inside of the level manager itself. And here it is. Okay. So we're pretty much saving the duration as a string down here, but before that, let's actually check if that duration is bigger than the last best time we actually had. So we're gonna do level data level is equal to a new level data, and then we're going to use scene manager.getActiveScene.name, just like this. And now we have the data from that level. So we're going to do save string is plus equal to duration.toString only if it is smaller than the data from level.bestTime. So the way we do this is we're going to do another ternary operator. So before we actually do the plus equal duration, I'm going to put some parentheses in here and do level.bestTime. So if level.bestTime is bigger than duration. If that's the case, so if level.bestTime is bigger than duration, we're going to do duration.toString else level.besttime.toString. So don't forget the question mark and also these two dots to separate this is if it's true and this is if it's false. Okay, so with this, I can see another error coming in the future. So basically, we're asking if the best time is bigger than duration. If that's true, then let's go ahead and override it. So that's our new best time. And yeah, so that should work in logic. But say it is the first time we actually complete the level, then best time is actually null. And the default value for null, because it is a float, is 0. And you're never ever going to beat 0. You're never going to be able to complete the level in less than 0 seconds. So that's going to cause us problem unless we actually fix it here. So we're going to say if level.besttime is bigger than duration, or so you're going to use the pipe operator twice because that's the or statement, and we're going to check if level.besttime is equal to 0. So equal 0.0f, which is going to check are you on 0 right now. If you are on 0, then it is the first time we actually complete this, and we are going to choose the duration. We're going to write the duration. So let's go ahead and test this out. I've just wiped my data, I believe. So 1_training, that's my data. 0, 10, 8, that's the default data. And let's go into level selection, choose level 1, and complete. Now the best time is 4.76. Let's actually go a little bit slower. And it should still be 4.76. Yep. Now let's go a little bit faster. And 4.38. So that's pretty much working. We got this out of the way. Let's go ahead and go back inside of our main menu scene. And we're going to remove that level button prefab. But right now it's only taking space for nothing. So we're going to remove it. And we're going to come back to it a little bit later on when we have icons we can put. So when we have silver or gold icon, we're actually going to display them somewhere. But right now we don't have any odds, so we're going to put a small break on that. And here it is. This is level 1. This is the level 2 that does not exist just yet. And since we never actually completed it, let's go ahead and remove that text because I don't really like it. So if we go up here in the main menu script, so this is where we do our thumbnail assignment. And where exactly do we choose the text? So over here we choose this text. So the level.besttime.toString. Again, we're going to do another ternary operator. So the text is going to be this if level.besttime is not equal 0.0f. So if level.besttime is not equal to the null value, then we're going to use this. Oops. And else, then we can put pretty much anything here. So we could say locked, or we could say this level is not ready yet, or we could say null, or just put nothing. Yeah, we could be putting nothing. That could do the job as well. Why not? Okay. Let's test this out once more, and level 2 now has no value. Alright, Now we could be doing one more thing, but I feel like that this video is going to take forever, so I'm not going to have you bear all this. But in the next one, we are going to start locking the level. So level 2 is not going to be accessible if this value right here is not set. So say we have no data in the second one like we do right now, then we're not going to be able to access level 3 and so on. So we're going to start locking the level. So we have to complete this one first, and yeah, so that's the plan for next episode, and then we can start working on art a little bit and then move on to more gameplay prefab and actually make this game fun. Alright guys, so thanks a lot for watching. Excuse my voice, I have a cold, it's really annoying, but I'm still doing this, guys, for you. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you have any question or comment, please leave them in the section below. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next episode.